Kia ora, I'm going to quickly show you how to make a website. This is the plan that I'm planning to use for my webpage. So you can see that I've got different sections. The first top section of my webpage is a nav bar, followed by heading 1, image 1, paragraph 1, heading 2, paragraph 2, and footer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 different sections, and this is what we'll be doing. This is what we'll be basically coding for our webpage to demonstrate how to code. Before we continue, I'm just going to quickly draw some imaginary lines. The reason being is that we need to split our web page into different grid areas. Now, to do this, you simply find every gap that you can see. So we're splitting up our website into our columns and our rows. So you can see that there is only 2 columns because you have only this gap that goes vertically. And then we're going to look at all our rows. We've got quite a few rows, so this might take some time. So we got one row here, we got another row here, we got another row down here, we got another row down here. This doesn't have to be perfect because it is a plan, and we got another row down here. So looking at how many rows, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different rows. 6 rows and 2 columns. But that we won't use that until we do the main.css. The first thing we need to do is we need to start planning our web. We still got to start coding our HTML file to quickly auto generate your code. We're going to use the exclamation mark and then push tab. Once we push those keys, we will automatically generate a template code for our website. Going back to my plan, you can see that my web page will be about wrestling. So the first thing I do is I'll change the title to wrestling. Okay, and I'm save. And in the body, we're gonna have a div called container. So we write .container tab and then enter. So here inside the body tags, so here's the first body tag, here's the second body tag, and we've got our div class inside container. Next, we're gonna go back to our plan. We're going to slowly add each of these sections. We've got navbar, heading 1, image 1. So .navbar. We got dot heading 1. I leave it like that actually to make it. So, the next one is image 1, paragraph 1. So image 1, paragraph 1, heading 2, paragraph 2, footer. Heading 2, paragraph 2, and footer. Cool. The next thing we need to do is we need to actually connect this index file that we've created to our CSS. Currently, our CSS has nothing in it. Except for the .container, but we need to also link them together. So we're going to go back to our head section. Here's the beginning head tag, here's the end head tag. We're going to write link tab, which should automatically bring style sheet, and the name of the file, the CSS that we're connecting, is main.css. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to just quickly see if it works. We're going to make sure that if we do not have go live on the bottom right corner of Visual Studio Code, we're going to go to extensions and double check that we have installed it. So this extension that we're installing, that we're using, is live server. So we're going to go back to our index. We're going to click on go live on the bottom right corner of Visual Studio Code. Here you can see that there's absolutely nothing on the web page, and that's because there is nothing in these sections. So if I just quickly do this, navbar, heading 1, image 1, paragraph 1, heading 2, paragraph 2, footer. Don't forget to save. Go back. You can now see that this is the content. However, if we go to our plan that we did in our plan.draw.io file, you can see that the layout is not the same layout we have here. Firstly, image 1 and paragraph 1 should be next to each other. However, you can see that the image 1 and paragraph 1 are directly above and below each other. So this is where we edit it in our main.css. Firstly, we have our dot container, because dot container is our div tags that surround all these div tags. In dot container, we're going to display everything in the container as a grid. Okay, and we're going to create our columns. Now, columns are defined by the sizes of our columns. 1FR, which is the fractional unit, is the smallest column size. So out of these two columns that I have here on my plan, the left column is the smallest, and then the second one needs to be in relation to that smallest column. So if this is 1FR, the column on the right is most likely the size of two columns. So 1FR, and then I can do this one as 2FR, because this is twice as big as the first column. So we're going to do 1FR, 2FR. So what we see here is that these are two columns, and which you can see that it's been adjusted on the web page. However, again, this is not our layout. We only want the two columns on the third row. So we need to also define our rows. We're going to use auto, meaning that whatever the size of the contents will adjust the row size. And then the part that gets people tricked up is grid template areas. And what we're going to do is we're going to use quotation marks to define every row. Now, if we're looking at our plan, the first row is just the nav bar, right? Meaning that we need to, inside the quotation marks, write nav bar, and we write it twice because we have defined two columns. If we define three columns, we would write navbar 3 times, because looking at the plan, navbar is the only section that encompasses that first row. Next is heading 1, heading 1. So that's the next row. Heading 1, heading 1. Alright. The next row is image 1. However, the second column of that same row is image 1 on the left hand side of that column. The first column, and the second column is paragraph 1, meaning that we don't write image 1, image 1, we actually write image 1, paragraph 1. Okay, and then we continue to do the same where we use the section twice. So heading 2, paragraph 2, and footer. Heading 2, paragraph 2, and footer. The next thing is that, which is an easy thing to do, is we need to define each of these sections. Each of these sections that we have written here needs to be the exact same as all the classes that we've defined in our HTML file. So make sure that if you've got some mistakes, it's most likely because you have misspelt it and you need to correct it. The next part is the easy part, where we define each of these sections. The first section is navbar. Just like how we use a shortcut for HTML, we need to make sure that we include the name navbar, but also include that full stop. Then we simply write grid area navbar, and that's that section done. Next section is heading 1, so I will do the same thing. Heading 1, fancy brackets, grid area heading 1. Cool. Then we do image 1, fancy brackets, and then grid area image 1. Next we do paragraph 2, grid area paragraph 2. We're going to do, and then last one is the footer. So grid area footer. Cool. Now, if we're looking at our, if we're now looking at our plan and then we're comparing it to what we have on our web page, on our live web page, we can see that navbar encompasses the first row, which is correct. Heading 1 is the next row, correct. And then if we're looking at our third row, we can see that it's image 1 followed by paragraph 1, which is exactly what we have in our plan. So at least we've now got our sections done properly. Now it's time to start adding the content. Firstly, we'll start off with something easy, so the heading 1. So if we're looking at my plan, you can see that for heading 1, I want professional wrestling. So we're going to just delete this. We're going to actually create a new, we're going to do a new line and have a gap. Because it is the biggest heading, we're going to use our H1 tags. H1 being the largest, H6 being the smallest. Then I'm going to write professional wrestling. Cool, save. And now you can see that it is now in a bigger font. Next I'm going to have an image. There are 3 web pages that I can use to find images. The first one is, which is my favorite, is unsplash.com. So unsplash.com is my first website that I use. If you don't like the images used there, you can also use pixels.com. And then the last website that I will use that you can also find images is pixabay.com. These three websites provide copyright-free images. So if I use Unsplash, I'm looking for, according to my plan, I'm looking for an image of a wrestler. So let's find a wrestler. Because I'm looking for a professional wrestler, I want something that looks nice. This is not too bad. Let's do this. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. He looks like he's ready. So we're going to download for free. Okay. And then we're going to drag the file into our images folder. I have an images folder so to keep my files nice and neat. I also have a planning folder which has my planning files. I'm going to rename the image something which is easy to use, such as wrestler. Cool. I am then going back to our index.css. Inside the image1 tag, I'm going to use the image tag. Source, which is the src, is where the file is located. Because we have downloaded the image into our images folder, I'm going to use it locally. So the name of the folder is called images / and then the name of the file, which is called wrestler.jpg. And then if I go back to my website, you can now see that the image has been up. The image is now live on the web page. And then alt stands for the alternate, which allows us to attribute, which allows us to attribute the image by writing a small and short definition of the image. So this looks like what I could say when I'm describing this image is it is a black and white photo of a masked wrestler. And that's enough information. So black and white image of a masked wrestler. Cool. Now, if you're using Visual Studio Code and you are annoyed with the fact that when you decide to make the window smaller, and you can see that it does, and you can see that the text goes off the page, it is because you're not wrapping your words. So if we want to use all of this, if we want to be able to see all the lines of code without having to scroll, then we can go to our menu, go to view, and then go to word wrap or Alt Z. Now you can see that the words now wrap, meaning that they fit onto the visible window screen. And you can see that these two lines is only a single line from line 16. Line 16 applies to both of these lines, so meaning that this is one single line and not two separate lines. So if I save this again, you can see that the image is still here. It's still a very massive image, and that is because we need to change the size in the main.css file, which we'll do soon. Notice that there is no text that says black and white image of masked wrestler, because this is used to describe the image, meaning that if someone was visually impaired and they have the website read to them using some technology that reads all the text that is on the screen, it will read the black and white image of a masked wrestler section. So it will not be able to determine the image just by looking at it. It needs to read the text that we've assigned to it. To fit the image into the page, we can go to our main.css. What I like to do is I use another class called IMG, which is for the images, and then I would do width and then 100%. This means that it's going to fit into 100% of the width of what we've assigned, which is what it's done. You can slowly see that we're starting to make our planning make our code look like our plan. Next thing we're going to do is our paragraph 1. I'm just going to enter some random words. Don't forget that you use the P tag for paragraph, and I am going to enter some random words. So this is not, I will obviously edit it later, but for now I'm just going to add some random words to fill in the content. I might actually have 2 paragraphs to make it clearer. So that's my first paragraph. I'm going to do a second paragraph, and so there we go. Next, heading 2. What was my heading 2? Let's go to our planning. Heading 2 is interesting facts. So instead of heading 2, I'm going to do the next size for heading, since we've already used H1, and I'm going to use H2 and write interesting facts. Cool, so you can see it's now down here. And then paragraph 2 will be something similar to paragraph 1. Don't forget our p tags, some random text, and there we go. Actually, what I might also do is I might do a list. So I might do a list of unordered, so just bullet points, unordered list item something, and I'll copy this 3 times, and then you can see that I now have a list with 3 bullet points. So UL stands for unordered list, and then OL is ordered list, meaning that if we, instead of we wanted bullet points and we wanted numbers, we'd use ordered list, which the tag is OL. Our footer, we can simply do our copyright, so maybe I might do a P and then copyright Mr. Malaita 2024. This is simply to say that this is my web page and I haven't used anything that would offend anyone, and if it does, then they at least know who it's attributed to. The next thing we want to do is add some color. So we're going to go to our main.css. Here is where we will style our colors and everything. What I've done is I wanted the container section, which is kind of the background, which you can see there, as this color right here, F9DCCC4. Oh, sorry, F9DCC4. F9DCC4. So container. We're going to use background color, hashtag F. I already forgot it. F9DCC4. You can see now that the color has changed. However, if you are annoyed that it only does the container section and not the whole page, it is because we need to use body. So if you want to do the entire page, then we can use body. I'm kind of annoyed of what it looks like too, so I'm gonna actually cut that line of code. I'm going to go to body. That's the class I'm going to use, body. Paste and save, and now you can see the whole color is filled in. Next we want to do is fill in the headings and the nav bar with this color, FFB5A7. So we'll start with the nav bar, which is background color, hashtag FFB, was it 9A7? 5A7, and you can see that it's now filled in. What we can then do is just copy this and paste it for the heading, and also paste it for the, that doesn't seem right. Oh, I'm missing a heading too. My apologies. So under image 1, then there's a paragraph, sorry, heading 1, image 1, paragraph 1. Oh, and there's a heading 2. Sorry, I'm just gonna make some quick fixes. Cool. And was that all the colors for pink? 1, 2, 3. Cool. And footer needs it as well, so let's put it in the footer. Cool. The next thing we're gonna do is add that lighter white, F8E DEB, F8E DBE. So background color, hashtag F8E DBE, F8E DEB, EB. Is that right? Yep, that looks right. So we're gonna copy that. Also use it for the second paragraph, which is missing, which we need to add. So dot paragraph 2, grid area, paragraph 2, and background color. There we go. Much closer to what we want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then these two are separate. Cool. Next, we are going to add navbar links. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 links, which is homepage, restless, promotions, and FAQ. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a list, unordered list, and our list items will be the different text that we're going to use. So homepage are the different pages. Homepage, restless, promotions, FAQ. So homepage, restless, promotions, and FAQ, frequently asked questions. Cool. Now, one of the things that we want to do is we want to actually make them links, meaning that if we click on it, then it should go somewhere. So we're going to use the A tag, and then we're going to actually cut and paste the second A tag, the end of the A link A tag to the end of the word. So you can now see that this start tag of the hyperlink and this end tag of this hyperlink are surrounding the word homepage, and that is the only keyword, or that those are the only letters or characters that have been selected as a hyperlink. At the moment it doesn't go anywhere because our quotation marks are empty. We're going to use a hashtag which represents it is this page, whereas the other pages we will add later. So we're going to copy this, paste it here, paste it here, paste it here. We're going to cut this, paste that here, gonna delete that, delete this, paste, paste. You can now see that these are all these all have links. However, these hashtags mean that it does not go anywhere because we have made it blank. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our main.css. What we can then do is we can remove these bullet points. So what we'll do is that we only want to remove the bullet points from the nav bar. We want to leave them, because if we just modify the bullet points or the unordered list tag, then we're going to affect all unordered list tag on the page. But we only want to affect the nav bar. So let us, underneath the nav bar unordered list, and we're going to say, if I cannot remember, I will simply Google unordered list, no bullets. W3 Schools is a wonderful website. List style type none. So that's what we will do. List style type not disk but none. Save, come back, and you can see that they have now vanished. One of the things that we want to do is that we want to create it like a nav bar, meaning that we want to create it where each of these words are next to each other. So we're also going to say display inline. No, that is incorrect. Again, we can just simply say display list items side by side or vertically, but horizontally. That's not horizontally. Display inline block. So let's try that inline block. Hopefully this works. Nope. So the reason being is that we want list items, so that might have been why. So we're going to create another one, nav bar list items, meaning that we're only affecting the list items or the ally tags in the nav bar, which is all of these four. We're going to make them a display inline. I'm going to try inline first. So inline was correct. I don't know if how big of a difference inline block doesn't really make, so we'll keep it with inline. We can also actually make some padding to make them spacious. So let's say 10 pixels. So you can see there's a now space of 10 pixels. Actually, let's do 15 to make it a bit bigger. Maybe let's try 20. What we can then do is we want to make the background color of these list items. Actually, so what I've done is I've now made the padding also 20px, meaning that you don't actually have to click on the page, but we're also going to change the background color so you understand what I'm talking about. I'm adding a background color, going back to planning to see the colors. FEC 89A, FEC 89A, save. You can see that the padding has been used. You can see it's a bit messy, so let me just change some things around. Actually, what I might do is I might remove this. Try this. Okay. So I'm adding padding of 20 pixels, and so that the navbar can fit, I might actually not use this one now, so I might comment this out. To make a comment, you simply use a / and a asterisk. Will then actually, I'm going to surround the list item around the list, the hyperlink around the list item, meaning that I'm going to have the A tag surrounding the list item, so that if I click on the orange, then it also includes the button. However, if I hover over the next few, you can see that it doesn't click, because we need to actually surround the list item as with the hyperlink, so that the list item itself is clickable, or it is a hyperlink that we can access, right? Cool. Next thing we're going to do is also add some padding around these paragraphs, because it is too tight, and then we need to space them out. So let's do padding 20 pixels as well. Yeah, that's probably, actually we could probably do 30 to just make it look a bit more cleaner. I'm going to do that for the other paragraph. Heading 2 can actually text, I'll start with heading line 1, because heading needs to be in the center. So we're going to use text align center, which you can see here, and then I'll do the same with heading 2. Cool. I'll even do that for the footer. So I'm going to align the footer in the center. Cool. I might actually do the navbar in the center. There we go. You can kind of see that it's slowly being put together. It's a very basic website, but this basically has the content. Next thing we want to do is actually connect our page, so that if I go on home page, if I click on home page and I'm on the home page, it doesn't go anywhere. But if I click on wrestlers while on the home page, it should go to a wrestlers page. Simply create another file. So I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it wrestlers.html. Index.html must always be the name of your first HTML file, which is your homepage. My wrestlers.html page will be different. I'm going to just quickly write some code. I'm going to use this, I think I'll use the same layout, so I'm not going to change anything. So I'm going to use the same CSS. So if I go index now, and I'm going to change this hashtag to wrestlers.html, so that if I click wrestlers on the index, it's going to come to this new page. You can see there's absolutely nothing. We're going to create our container. We're going to create our heading 1 from what I remember. Next is our navbar is supposed to be first. Okay, heading 1 followed by image 1. Heading 1, image 1, paragraph 1. So image 1, paragraph 1, followed by, what was the plan? Heading 2, paragraph 2, footer. Heading 2, paragraph 2, and footer. Cool. Now, the colors are not showing because we don't have anything. Actually, what I do for the navbar, I'll just copy literally all the code that we've used inside the navbar. So, paste. There we go. But this time in the hashtag, I'm going to use index.html. And then in the wrestlers, I'm going to make it a hashtag. So at the moment, our wrestlers HTML file, that is where we are. So we don't want it to go anywhere else except for hashtag, which means we don't move. However, when we click on homepage, then we want to go back to our homepage. Okay, I'm going to title this I'm going to say wrestlers, and I'm going to actually change this to professional. I'm going to use pro wrestling. Just write pro wrestling. Cool. So this homepage has the title pro wrestling. If I click on wrestlers, you can see it says wrestlers. Restless, that doesn't look right. I'm looking at this word so many times I don't even know if I'm spelling it right. Restless, yeah, restless. Cool. And then I'm gonna do the same thing where I'll just use the same image for the image. So and just restless. So there we go. For hitting this time, because it's a different page, I'm gonna make it very clear that this is the restless page. Right. Oops, we forgot that. Use a h1 tag. Here I'm gonna use h2 and I'm gonna say my favorite wrestlers. I actually got the capital F to make it look nice. It's all popping up when I save, but you can slowly see that that's how you add content to the page. Things that I haven't talked about yet, which I can do now, is YouTube video, adding videos. So let's say I am going to look up. Oh, that's nice. Let's do WrestleMania 40. So I'm going to find a video about WrestleMania. Let's do this one with Roman Reigns. Oh, this will not be available because let's try it. So we're gonna go share. You're gonna find a video that you're going to use. You're gonna go share. You're gonna go to embed. You're gonna go copy. This is the code that we're going to use. So if I go back to my page, instead of on the wrestlers, instead of an image, I'm gonna actually use a video. So I'm gonna delete the image code, the image tag, and paste in the video. You can see that when I paste it into here, it says it's unavailable. That's not because I've done the code wrong. It's because WWE, the channel, does not allow their videos to be used outside of their channel. So what I can do is I'll just look for, let's do WWE. But I don't want a video from WWE. I want something that's not WWE. Let's do Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. And hopefully we can find a video that's not a WWE video. Let's do this one, Wrestling Justice. So I'm going to go to share, embed, copy. I'm going to delete this code that we pasted that didn't work. Come back here. I'm going to paste, save, and you can see that the video is now available to use. Now notice that it is not the same size as the image when the window size is smaller. Where if we go to homepage, the image is a third of the page. No matter how big we make the page, you can see that the image will adjust accordingly, but it is still a third of the width. To do the same thing with the video, then we just simply change width to 100%. Okay, so now this is a third of the page. To make it scale right, I think I might actually delete the height so that you can see that it adjusts accordingly, but you can play around with it so that it adjusts, and you can play around with the size of the video to make it look nice. I'm actually bring that back and let's do 300px. Yeah, so it's still that's probably best enough. Other things that we might want to do is we might change the font, which is very important because I don't want to see default font, meaning that we need to choose a font that is outside a different font. To simply do that, we're going to go to Google Fonts. So you go to fonts.google.com if you want to type it in the address bar. We're going to look for a font that we can use, or a font that we like. I'm going to look for a very different one so that you can tell that it is not the exact same. Let's do this one, Workbench. Now to use this font, we need to look at the styles. You can see that there's only regular. I'm going to click on Get Font. Okay, I'm going to make sure that I am only using the regular font. Okay, so we go click on it. Here, then Get Embed Code, and then we're going to make sure that we only use it for at import. Okay, at import, we're then going to copy this line of code where it's the at symbol. we're going to go to the very top of our CSS and we're going to paste, and don't forget to add the semicolon at the end. For some reason Google Fonts does not include the semicolon, so you need to include it in your code on your first line of code. I'm just gonna change the window view so that you can see what it should look like. This does not automatically change the font. You need to add where you want to change the font. So we're going to go back to our Google Fonts, and the line of code that you're going to use where it says fonts family, this is what you use for all the sections you want to change the font for. We're going to go back to our home page so that you can see which ones we're going to change. I want us to change it for these paragraph sections. So we're going to go to paragraph 1, paste it, and you can see that it's now changed. We're going to do the same thing for paragraph 2, and you can see that it is now changed. This is essentially all you need to work on your code, your website.